Before I start, thank you to everyone who supported the creation of TNWRS. Whether it was voice acting, script feedback, or other, I couldn't have done it without you. For me, it's hard to believe that TNWRS got this far. I did not think I'd still be making this series or have as many episode ideas as I have now, and yet, here we are, over 40 episodes in. I think it's about time that I told you all the story of how TNWRS, or the Northwestern Railway series, came to be, regarding series inspiration, writing stories, and the layouts. It all began when I first joined YouTube in 2020. A crappy time to be alive. By now, the Thomas franchise had gone down the drain along with my interest in it, which, fun fact, had been declining since around 2014. Until 2018, I kept up with the show by watching clips of episodes and movies on YouTube, but I haven't bought a DVD since Blue Mountain Mystery first hit the shelves. In 2017, I watched clips of Journey Beyond Sodor and thought, did he just gesture? Then BWBA happened and my interest was in the John. I wanted to take matters into my own hands, but didn't have any original ideas. Most of my videos were dated remakes of existing Thomas stories, most of which will likely never see the light of day. I had seen many incredible users make their own Thomas stories, and I admired their works, but didn't want to directly copy them. I asked TheLOKRailFan, the creator of Tales of a Railyard and Tales Before a Railyard, for help, and he said that he liked to take stories and resculpt them into his own vision, and write them just like how the Reverend W. Awdry would write his stories. I then thought about Wilbert Awdry and what I loved about his stories from the Railway series. The stories he wrote were always very realistic and mature, especially when dealing with concepts like loss of a family member, determination, or karma, things of those natures. Not like most present-day kid shows. I then watched Victor Tanzig's The Stories of Sodor, another series that I liked, and I observed that, while his stories were inspired by the Railway series and Tugs, he took elements from existing stories and sculpted them into a Tugs-like fashion, with bits of Awdry stories sprinkled into them, somewhat reminding me of the TheLOKRailFan. An example, a Tugs-based example, more like, would be the first episode of his series called Percy. It was based on Sunshine from Tugs, and that prompted me to study Tugs and Awdry stories. Maybe I can make a series in a Tugs/Railway series fashion. Victor, Harry, if either of you are watching this, thank you for inspiring me to experiment. My initial intention was to set stories in the 20s and 30s, like Victor Tanzig did with the first two seasons of his series. In the Railway series, there were large gaps of time between the book's troublesome engines, Henry the Green Engine and Toby the Tram Engine, which I wanted to fill. I planned to set one season in the 20s and 30s, and a second one in modern day, as the 50s, 60s, and 70s were packed with stories. My first episode was called Misjudgment, based on the book Troublesome Engines, and the Tugs episode Sunshine. The plot centered around Percy's first day on Sodor. There were liberties, like the big engines coming out after Percy arrived, and Toby was present, as I wanted a cast like that of Tugs. I was admittedly unsure of what direction I wanted to take the series in, and eventually decided to stick with the timeline and locations of the Railway series. While I wanted to be original and innovative, I didn't want to be too complicated, and decided that the Railway series timeline was most ideal. The terminus and Big Harbor, wrong one, were moved to Tidmouth, both previously being Knapford and Brendam respectively, and it went from there. I also changed the characters a bit. I made earlier episodes in the form of some sort of comedy where Percy was the irritable shunter annoyed by the Big Engine's antics, playing something of an only sane man, with Thomas not too far behind him. Honestly, I didn't really know what to do with him. And Henry was as dumb as Patrick Starr, and Gordon and James were douchebags. As I started to drift away from my comedy series, I thought I might as well make the characters as faithful as I could be to the source material. Percy was a little more cheerful and naive, Thomas was a bit more of an asshole, and Henry was smarter. As time went on, I thought about Thomas stories which, while seeming to have a concept that could work, did not seem to use it correctly. Some examples could be a character being out of character, the logical reasons for a character's actions, or a plot that could have worked in a totally different time, place, etc. The multitude of underused or impractical TV series characters motivated me to break away from the 20s and 30s and modern day and expand on some of these characters while also writing more stories set in the 50s and 60s and thus allowing me to experiment more. Before I joined YouTube, I built my HO scale layout from late 2019 to late 2020. I had not had a plan ever since I took down my old layout, which lasted from 2015 to 2018. My layout, from episode 1, was inspired by that of Adventures on Sodor, particularly the post-episode 5 layout. My version had Elmer's foam, lifetime tables, and grass mats. The main locations were a station, yard, shed, and turntable. Admittedly, I was never really happy with what I made, as the design of the layout limited creativity. There was little room for certain locations, it was lacking in scenery, and it didn't feel accurate to its basis, no thanks to its size of 8 feet by 12 feet. I pulled it up in 2022, and after constructing rejected plans inspired by ThomasFan247 and Sparkshot, I've decided to take inspiration from Audrey's layouts. It's honestly the most ideal method for me. Creative and Audrey-esque. Despite earlier episodes being a bit poor in terms of quality, I think the series has truly grown and changed for the better. Stories have been written, rewritten, and scrapped. Voice actors and actresses have joined and left the cast, and the cast has expanded from the main 6, there we go, Casey, and a few other characters to an abundance of characters, and the layout has undergone multiple changes. I won't lie, looking back at my older stuff felt nostalgic. I don't really hold it in high regard or anything, and not everything has aged the best, but it's nice to look back at it every once in a while and see how far I've come. I want to take a minute and thank those who helped me, directly or indirectly. Smurfy Dan, Captain Punjab, Sudrian AO, Jonathan Ajima, Enterprising Engine 93, Andrew Liago, TheLOKRailFan, The Mystic Gal, and Victor Tanzig. Thank you all very much. I recommend checking these users out. I hope you all enjoyed seeing how the Northwestern Railway series came to be. I have more stories planned, so stay tuned for those. Here is to a bright future for the Northwestern Railway series.